Good morning, guys. Damien, how you doing this morning? Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Hey, bud. I'm just looking over this piece of material that I was gifted, this beautiful stuff, and I'm looking to see if it's okay if I tell everybody who that was from. Thus far, he's anonymous, but just beautiful, beautiful material. So I'm going to work on some of it today, just showing how to break down, just river tumbled stuff. You can see if I can get to where it'll show up really well. See all these little circles and these little pecks? Those are tiny little cone fractures where this rock has tumbled down the river or stream or creek or whatever, and each of those little peck marks on the outside of that are where it's contacted a rock as it's turned, and they're actually the same fractures that I'm initiating to create these flakes. So what you have to be careful is as you work through this rock that you don't have any of those that have kind of that have gone into the rock far enough to cause it to fracture. Good morning, Todd. Gwenny, good morning. But as you're working this kind of stuff, you just want to, okay, here's a great example of how those cones can go down into, you see right there in the edge of this, see those little crack fractures that are initiated from those cones and how they go down into the rock a little bit? Those can actually go far enough that if you get a flake or something to roll into them, that it'll actually split the rock in half. So what you're trying to do is set up a steep edge that you can drive flakes underneath all of that in big removals after you get a working edge. This is not the point to try to drive these big flakes across here. You're wanting to get a nice working edge and then start worrying about trying to remove the rest of this material. So I'm going to warm up a little bit on one of these pieces here. I was also going to try to show you a little bit of a different technique than what I normally do. It looks like I lost my camera angle. I was trying to get a little closer. Let me see if I can fix that, guys. Just a little. Just trying to get to where you're going to be able to see a little bit better the angles that I'm doing on this punch. Now this is a style of punching that I haven't really shown much on here. It was the type that I did prior to when I started working with the shaft punch. This technique works really well down to a certain point. Once you get to once your biface gets really light in mass, once you've lost a lot of this extra. See, in this piece here, I'll show you, it's got the same river tumble cones. You can see all that, and on this one you can actually see how it goes down into the rock too. So essentially this is not really, a lot of the cortex is actually just where this rock has been pecked and pecked and pecked as it rolled down a river or stream. So again, you want to make sure that you set up that where you can drive under those. You don't really want to hit into them any more than you have to. Mad Dog, good morning. But what I'm going to try to show you is, and if you don't have a setup like the shaft punch, that this is an alternative, that this is what I used to do, and it works fantastic for this early stage stuff. Now I haven't done it in a while, So bear with me, I'm gonna warm up a little bit. But what you do is you would use a hammerstone to create that first down, you know, just a way to get into the piece. But then for accuracy purposes and for saving material, you can switch over to like what's referred to a lot as a drift punch. A peg punch is another term for it. I was trying to get to where I can show you the angles that I'm holding. This is not flat on my leg. I'm actually tilting it up because I'm trying to put the area that I'm taking off at the bottom of that, where that cone is, if that makes sense. If you hit it at an angle, then you're going to tear that out at an angle. You know, if I hit down on this, it would be a completely different flake. But when I tilt that up and put that ridge on the bottom, then it wants to run that ridge. Now that one, I got to remember this is some Texas stuff, so I need to slap it a little harder, but I can see that crack initiated went a little farther down. So I put that back in place and use it almost like a punch. Now part of it went. Let me try it one more time here. Nah, I'm not going to be able to get a bite on it. That's fine. All I was really wanting is to get this downward spot right here. So I'm going to work off of that. Take a flake down. I'm going to use that negative bowl where that was at, tilt this up, and drive that flake off. Turn it over and use that same bowl at the bottom. Take that flake. So what you're doing is, instead of having to set steep angles like you would for a hammerstone, you're working off of a sharp angle. You can see I'm not grinding this or doing anything. I'm just grabbing a little bit up into there and a nice solid strike. And what it's doing is, you can see we're saving the size. We're not losing very much, and we're developing this zigzag work edge. Now, if you can see, I'm tilting this back. It's not straight up and down, and this is not flat. It's tilted up, and I'm trying to drive that flake. I can see it started. It'll come apart here. I'm trying to drive that flake kind of forward so that you see that zigzagged edge that we're getting. This is just like if you were zigzagging, if you were working a slab and you're trying to zigzag back and forth to start a working edge. It's the same concept. See, another flake. And use that bulb just like that, and you work around the piece. That's a little bit of a steeper platform. Let me come back in with the hammerstone, kind of lighten that up. Trying to save a little bit of that. Now you see how I'm elevating that up? It's not flat. If I try to hit flat, it's going to be a short, it's going to try to dive too deep into that piece. I'm trying to just roll this little edge right here, and I'm supporting that on that leather, tilting it up. See how it just rolled over that steeper edge. And each spot that I'm taking a flake, I'm just using that the negative spot in that for the platform for the next one. Is this making sense, guys? I mean, is this something that you see where I'm going with this at all? Or I was trying to make sure I'm showing what this tool can do, because you're basically putting all of the power of this tool into that spot, and you can direct it and angle it exactly how you want it. That started to, got to hit it a little harder. Texas material, raw. But you can see how that, you could put it, it's like hitting it with a billet, using the punch, the same, I mean, it is a punch, but it's like the horizontal punch that I use a lot now. You can direct the angle of the flakes by tilting the piece up. You start getting this steeper working edge, turtleback looking situation. So what you're going to do at that point is start setting up these thinning secondary flakes. And where those are going to come from, you see each of these little dips and low spots all the way around this. You're going to even up that working edge and use those as ways to get back into this. Now for a nap. Right on. Right on, Kenosha. But up until this point, other than the first flake and then a couple of just to kind of get some stuff out of the way, most of it has been with that punch. But you can come back in and adjust some angles and stuff with your hammerstone. And then do the same thing. You see this little spot right there. I'm going to set that punch right up the edge, just where I would want to hit it with a billet, and strike the flake off. But what I like about this is I can support the bottom of that flake at weird angles and take little flakes like that, just setup flakes that allow me to get to spots that with a regular billet I wouldn't be able to do. And like I said, the advantage of this is before it loses mass. Rizzo, good morning. Once it loses mass in the piece, it starts rebounding from the punch too much, and it's harder to get it, the support. But early stages like this, you can see it's tremendously efficient as far as, the speed that you can work with it. I'm just kind of playing around. I mean, if I was trying to really go into this thing, you can remove a lot of flakes real quick, and you get that working edge that we're always looking for. You see how we've almost got this sinuous, except for this spot right here is a little bit, and that's the one we're working to right now. Ruben, right on. Well, that's just one particular style of punch or indirect. The same thing could be done with direct percussion. Well, I'm glad I could help. And I tell you what, Ruben, if you like this kind of content, I'm in the process of uploading all of these lives to my YouTube channel. It's the same name, New Age Neanderthal. We've got a little bit of a backlog playlist there, but I think I've got them up to coming on the end of February. So it's been taking a little while to get them uploaded, but those are going to be available. Tony, good morning. So if you like this kind of stuff, if it's right on, yeah, just if you would, just hit that subscribe button there. We're trying to grow the channel. So, but yeah, YouTube, same name, New Age Neanderthal. And we will have everything going forward is what we're putting on the site or on the channel. Plus, I'm going to be doing some instructional stuff coming up here in the future. All right, now we're going to do the same thing. Hey, Nomad, good morning. But we're going to do the same thing here as we would do if it were a small, little tiny biface or a flake. Is you're going to identify the areas. You can see how this is undercut on this side. And we've got mass on this side. So obviously, even though that edge is turned to this side, if you try to drive flakes into that, you're going to get a bunch of step fractures and just really a bunch of flakes that aren't going to accomplish what you're wanting. So you take your hammerstone. What I would typically do would be, if I can find a smaller, lighter one, is what I'm looking. Now this one's too light for this material. I've already tried to work some of it with it, but I'm just trying to drag off these little flakes that are going to continue that convexity and not. Here, I can show you on some of those now. You see how those flakes are not driving in, they're just kind of rounding over the tops of these little, and instead of being undercut in there now, it's convex. And that's what we're going to try to do through here. And then once this is flattened out, we'll have that convexity on this side and be working towards this stuff. Right on, Ruben. Well, I appreciate it, man. Glad to help. If you got any questions, feel free, send me a message, comment on YouTube, all that, whatever. So have a good day and be careful. But no, what I use the hammerstone typically for, you can do a lot of your spalling in your early stage work, but on these smaller little tab patty stuff, I like the punch or the punches till you get it to this point here, and then you can really start looking at your thinning once you get your convexity built. We're still a little bit thick right here, but hey, Mark the sexy dog, how you doing? Now there is a moniker right there. Or as they called it back in the day when before the cell phones and everybody's, good morning, Jimmy, would have been your handle. My buddies and I, growing up here, were in Northwest Arkansas, pre-cell phone, obviously in our high school days, but there was a group of us guys that had CB radios. And, the range on them wasn't all that great, but mostly, around town, rubber duck, there you go. But yeah, that kind of tells my age, but yeah, we had a group of guys, we had CBs in our trucks that we could communicate. Well, thank you, Ruben. No, this actually, Jimmy, is you can see it was beginning to be chert. This is like a little concretion. It actually came out of a piece of limestone. That's where this stuff is formed, all the chert is. And I found this in a rock formation of limestone, and it would have at some point turned into, it's chert inside, but the outside of it is this almost like sandstone, but it's just before it's turning into chert. Mark, I am in Northwest Arkansas. But once I get that edge, started like that, now depending on what kind of the next step that you want to use, for me, and I'll just be honest with you, after I napped yesterday, Awesome. Now you got some beautiful material up there, Mark. Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, it works really well. The density of this hammerstone it's weird. It's got a softer texture, but the density of a really hard hammerstone. So for certain applications, I like it a lot. This is this is my magic hammerstones. You don't see me use it very often unless I'm working some material that it really, if I can get a good strike on it. Not warmed up yet this morning. Both of those hurt. Come on. There it went. Now you can see on that flake right there how it's detached, but those cracks, see how that held that together? Going through that cortex. But yeah, once you get that edge started and turned sharp like that, then you start using all those deltas, just smoothing them out, and then turn them into platforms to remove your secondary materials. And I think too often that people try to go directly into the mass of it before they've got the angle to do it, and then you end up with all kinds of yes. Cheb Death, thank you for the follow. Good morning. Awesome, Mark. Yeah, that's one of my passions is North American archaeology. So awesome. Welcome to the deal. Did you give me a follow so you'll know that when I go live and stuff? Also, if you like this kind of stuff, check out my YouTube channel, and we've got some videos of other stuff where I'm not really talking, and then we've got a backlog of the live shows. Rye, thank you. Well, it works for certain stuff, but if I have to anything other than this close up like this, if I'm working off this leg, for instance, you can't really see the punch as well that way. But I was hoping that this would give you a little bit more of an angle that you could see, that you don't necessarily hold the piece flat when you're working it off those punches. Mark, I don't know that I have a favorite rock. I tell you I guess because of where I'm from and everything is Reed Springs, certain varieties of that's a local stone that I work a lot, and it's just a gorgeous material, and so many of the points in this area were made from it because it's such a superior material. But this is Texas rock, in the land of you can't walk without tripping over it. So I'm sure if I lived down there, I would love this stuff because this is working really nice. I mean, I enjoy good, tough, raw stone. And in any form, this is all raw that I'm going to be working. To me, if it works well raw, but it's tough, that would have been I would imagine in Montana you like the agates, moss agate maybe, some of those like that. This one, I think this is a pedernellus is what this piece is. I do have a couple of pieces of the amoeba, but this was more of like a little tabby patty, and that's what I think this is. Pedernellus is what this material is. But I also have some of the amoeba, some root beer, and some just other various stuff from that region. So yeah, it's fantastic material. That's what I was hoping he would be in here today, and I could thank him for it if it was okay. But thus far, he wants to remain anonymous. And see, when I've said before, I'm not grinding when I'm doing this. You can see some of the little flakes come off, but if I were to hit directly into this edge, what ends up happening is you're driving those flakes into that concavity, and all you do is compound a problem that you've got. Now, I'm going to show you this in just a second. I think you can see some of the flakes going off there. But I know it looks like I'm grinding, but I'm not. You see all of those little edge turned back flakes that are coming back this way. I was just trying to strengthen that, and in doing that, now I've got some convexity in a couple of areas here. Next spot I'm going to is right here to do the same thing, because there's a little bit of a valley right in there in between. Yeah, I've got some of that. I've actually got a couple of pieces that are in here somewhere. Yeah, that's beautiful material. I guess there's been some guy that's got a bunch of that material in Texas that everybody's going nuts over. All the rock dealers and everybody's going down there and getting it, because I guess they found a spot where they're turning it up with a plow in a field or some crap and just piling it up. For some insane price, like $50 a bucket if you picked it up. And for any of you guys that work any root beer, you know that's a pretty good deal. All right, now as I've worked through that, you can see how I come up to these spots, and when everything's, the angle's right and the convexity and all that, then I'll take those, flakes that are beneficial for me. If you can't take stuff just because you think you can take a big flake off of something. You need to stop and think, when I take that big flake, what is it going to do to the overall balance or the contours of your point? It's great if you can run a big flake off there, but is that flake going to be beneficial, or did you end up with a big flake point and a thing that you could almost make into a point? You know what I mean? Oh, thank you, Christopher. I appreciate it. I really love this stuff. I do, and I do think about it in my sleep, going to sleep sometimes. I've laid in bed and been thinking on a problem or a way to do something, and got up out of bed, went to my napping area in the middle of the night and napped. That's the level of craziness that I have. And now that's what I've told people. I said, I don't know if I'm the crazy one or my wife is, because she stays with me through all of it. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty eat up with it for sure. But I think for the most part, especially new nappers, is it's too aggressive. It's too, you see, I'm not hitting this thing hard. All I'm doing is adjusting these edges, and I'm conserving material. See how these little flakes that are coming off, they're almost like pressure flakes. Once you start getting that, there's another one. And I'm just dragging that edge down. Get out of my rhythm. There we go. And see how that's adjusting that and turning this, getting this convex edge. As we're working through this, we're setting up stuff, setting up an angle to get to something, all of that. It's kind of like shooting pool. Absolutely, Christopher, it is. It's kind of like shooting pool. Let's see. Oh, several. I missed that one. If somebody can pin that one, something several times. Sorry about that. Sometimes I get to watching what I'm doing here and don't watch the comments. So if one of my moderators could pin that one, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I'm not as much of an, thank you for that, Brizzo, I appreciate it. I'm not as much of an artifact guy, I think, as I am I love studying and making the points. No, I love arrowheads, don't get me wrong, but I'm the guy that, if I'm in an area that's got really good material, I'm looking for material, and I might find an arrowhead while I was looking for the material, but I would step over an arrowhead, not looking for it. Usually the reason that I find an artifact when I'm out rock hunting is because they were making them out of the same material that I'm looking to find. And my eyes pick up on, oh, there's that, oh, it's a point, or a broke. That's usually how I find stuff when I'm out, in the creeks and stuff. Yeah, I was working some petrified wood. It's Rainy Buttes. Here's a flake of that. I made a Clovis out of one of those on Monday, I think, in the live. But see, when you kind of peck and grind and then you polish up and you get your edges like this, and you can listen to the difference. You hear how smooth as far compared to a crusty one. You can almost hear it get smooth, and once it gets that smooth spot, that's where you want to strike that. Just like that. And you see how that took that huge amount of mass off there. But it wasn't a bad flake for us, because what it did was it established we've got now a base thinned area, and I've got a way to come in off the sides. Have I ever made a bow tie? You mean like a Chevy bow tie? Have you made any? Palm wood, I have worked a long time ago, Christopher, but I don't, I might maybe I'll make a little Texas point out of that one. Like a tomahawk. I don't typically, out of this, I've made a few, I think there's on my profile, there's, I was trying to think if I have one of my axes out here. I've made like celts, like napped celts, but not tomahawks, not, more actually for like tree chopping. Axes and that type of stuff is what I've made. But I can make just about, depends on the material and how big and all that, but I can, if it's napped, I can. Absolutely, Christopher. Yeah, this is Texas material. That's my goal with this one. If it works out, I'd like to make a Folsom out of it. There's definitely this other one. Where did it go? I'm not touching this one until I know I'm on my game, but look at this material. It is just as clean, and that is gorgeous material. And if we may work this Monday after I get a few days rest. I'm pretty sore today. I napped quite a bit yesterday, but I'm going to use a lot of this Texas material here to do paleo stuff, probably Clovis and Folsom on most of it, because this is what this is Folsom material. So this right here, I think, is Pedernales. This other piece, it's all Texas Texas material. This has almost got like a purple and green hue to it. That is, you can see there's a spot where it's either pot lidded or something's happened. It's probably been through like a brush fire at some point, but it was just picked up off the ground like that. San Patrice, I like those. I've made a couple of them. Yeah, this is gorgeous stuff, and I've got some more of it over here that's just fantastic. So there's some of it's a little bit tougher. I'm probably going to work some of that into maybe, I may do a couple of Pedernales points. I was just trying to think of some of the stuff that I'm wanting to work on. It's gorgeous material, and it's going to give me the opportunity to work some point styles that I don't normally, but you know how I am, guys. I like to work, if I'm using material from an area, I want to try to make, yeah, that's awesome, General. To be able to live next to a resource like that is fantastic. But, you know, I typically try to make points that would have been made by the people living in that area out of that material. So I can make bird points. Yes, Christopher. I don't typically, and I know that most everybody calls them bird points, but those are big game killers, man. That's a deer kill. You know, you get a little 1 inch long point that's about a ½ an inch wide and just razor sharp. That is a deer hunting machine all day long. Yeah, I can make those. I make cahokias, and I had one that was working on that had a bad flake. I don't know what I do with it the other day. Oh, I can't find it, but now these are atlatl dark points that I've made here recently out of some of my local stuff. Now they're not notched. These are more like a Dalton style, just dark points is what. James, I do. Yeah, that Perdiz is those are nice little points if it's the one I'm thinking about. I have a book that talks about, now there's lots of resources out there, James, but most of the, like if you go, there's, what's it called? Projectilepoints.com, I think is one, something like that. Or projectiles there. If you Google search the name of the point that you're looking for information on, it's one of the first sites that'll come up. Now it'll talk about the region. It'll tell you. Now I've got an Overstreets book. It doesn't talk as much about the material as it does the region. But then what you have to do is you look at, like this material, I know where it came from exactly, basically. So I know that within that region, especially in Texas, you know, there's so much material in areas down there that they didn't have to go anywhere for material. So they were working what was right there where they were living. So you know that the point styles coming from that region specifically are going to be made from that material. So that's where I would start, is I would look at my Overstreets book and look at regional point styles that would have been made in that area, and then look what materials in that area to use, if that makes sense. Sorry about that was wordy or whatever, but that's kind of the process I go through. And then I also look at, I do a lot of, I watch a lot of lectures on YouTube and that are, you know, like the college type lectures. Then there's some that, you know, just where the museums will bring in experts on whatever, and I listen to all of that stuff I can, because you'll pick up little insights. You know, I think a lot of times for me, there are some archaeologists they just don't have the working knowledge of the tools that they're finding or that they're trying to talk about. And I feel like working on that knowledge, that part of the knowledge, and then having an actual working knowledge of tools that were used or could have been used, Or Christopher, are you going to there's one up in, was it Kansas City? Not Kansas City, St. Louis area coming up. I've got a friend of mine going to one up there. It's like a really big one. But anyway, guys, this is, once you get down to this stage right here, you can see we've actually got, we're kind of lens shaped. We're a little bit thick there, but from side to side and from base to tip. We've got all that mass. Collinsville, right on. Awesome. Awesome, Christopher. But we've got one side here that's fairly flat with a few avenues for it. Now, if you guys will permit me, I'm going to try to use my shaft punch. I'm not sure how well it's going to, I may have to move the camera, but yeah, my body is hurting today. I'm not, direct percussion is going to, yeah, there we go. It's going to hurt a little bit today, I'm afraid. So, now the thing to remember, imagine this tip of this. Don't imagine it in this axis this way, okay? Just imagine if all you could see of it is this. Well, it's basically, you have to look at the angles and everything the same as if it was this peg punch, okay? Because when I strike this, it's going down. Now, you kind of have to put in the fact that it's angled, so it's, it's actually more like that than it is like that, if that makes sense. So when I hit this and it drives downward, then I'm going to use those same angles that I was using with, the punch this way. But what the shaft punch allows you to do is you're able to support the entire piece. See how that just, a little like a blending type flake to take some of that mass up there. Same thing. But what it does is it isolates that you're able to support right behind it. See how we just worked right up that edge. All of this material here that's what it was. So we've got a low spot here and an area of mass that we're going to try to work to, and then we've got a way to get to it right here. I'll try to keep as much of this in frame. That was the other thing. When you're this close in with to show what I'm doing, because pressure flaking, I'll have to completely slide around because, the angle will be different. But this is almost the same thing we did a while ago. We're just dragging that edge, pulling off little flakes and turning it so that it's in this direction. You see how those little flakes are starting to basically build us a little platform all the way down that edge. All right. James, what I'm actually doing is, now sometimes I do dull the edge, but I don't know if you guys can see some of the flakes. I'm actually, look at all the little tiny flakes along the edge that are gone. You see that, how it looks kind of chattered up a little bit? It's not showing how clean they are, but you try to get that edge as smooth, and I'm not actually grinding. If you look at the angle that I'm at, if I can get there we go. I'm up on top of that and putting dust up here. I'm not on the edge and grinding it this way. So the edge is still somewhat sharp. Not sharp, but, and I like to brush that dust back on there because the oil's in my hand. You want clean contact is what you're going for. And you see where that initiated. That went all the way across the top of that piece and removed all of that mass. But the reason it did that is because I didn't try to remove that to begin with like first thing. I'm setting up platforms that are giving me the angle to get to that. Now I've got a spot right here. And match those right up. Then you start looking. Oh, Christopher, if you want to see fluting, I flute live all the time. Go check out my profile. I've got clips of live fluting and all that. What is the leather for? The leather's here on my leg to protect my leg from hitting this and from the rock. Now this leather right here is my hand pressure pad, if that's what you're asking about. That's for when I'm holding the piece like this and pressing flakes off with an antler tool, like a tine tool like this. That's what that's for, but we're not at that stage yet. I'm really trying to, because I'm wanting to make, like I said, fulsomes out of this, so I'm trying to be pretty careful. Stinky Pinky, thank you for the follow. But, you know, I'm looking for a fairly specific contour on this. I'm not trying to make it super thin to start with until I get the convexity built, and then I'll go in and start worrying about getting ready for the fluting, because you want a very specific profile and ridge for that. And if you get too flat too quick, slide a bit there. I had all my stuff set up out on the front porch yesterday. It was so nice out there, and trying to get everything readjusted here. And I'm back in my indoor spot. That went deeper than I wanted to. I don't know if I had wrong support on that or what I did, but I put a little bit deeper flake right there than I wanted. Try to shallow it out a little bit. Thank you for the follow. See, right here is our last little kind of difficult spot that we've got on this side, this area right here. So I'm trying just to get an angle where I can just pick away at that little by little and build that angle like that. See how that, I was able to roll that up over the top of a lot of that mass. And another one right here next to it. And see, that wasn't straight in, it was back this way, like an angle across it that way. And what it's doing is, you can see how it's removing that and it's building convexity to this side. And guys, like I said, any of you, if you like this, you just found me and you want to see what's going on with this, we're going to have all these lives uploaded to YouTube. Started sometime early in February, and we're towards, it takes this painful long time to get that stuff loaded up, but I've got one that I've been trying to post or to get loaded up there for 2 days now. So sometimes it takes a while, but eventually all of this stuff will be up there for everybody to go check out whenever you want to. So if that's something that you would like. YouTube channel is the same name as my TikTok, New Age Neanderthal. Go check it out. Like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. It helps me out a little bit. Box Mechanic, thank you for the follow. Guys, we just recently did the 5,000 follower giveaway. And I think, now, Rick, that was the one that you won, right? John, good morning. Jay White, thank you for the follow. Are there particular tools? Good question, James. I will tell you that I technically, a lot of times will try to use stuff that's more correct if possible. I don't use a lot of moose billets. This one is a moose billet, but I just use it as a striker anymore. You can see how it's been where I've beat the heck out of it over several years of using it as that. But I've got, when I'm working some stuff, I may use this some here. This is a buffalo horn that I'll use to like edge preparation and doing these Folsoms from the Texas material. Just off the plains area there, South Tech, or well, I guess Lubbock area. Yes, it's. Oh, it's still not. It's still not on. Got to you, Rick. But anyway, no. Oh, was it John? James. I'm sorry, guys. I'm horrible with that. No, it's James because I see John there. Well, Rick, I hope it gets there. I hope there wasn't any kind of... No, it's James because I see John there. Well, Rick, I hope it gets there. I hope there wasn't any kind of issue with the addressing on it. It should have been... Well, I guess what I mailed that Monday, maybe? No, it wouldn't be there yet. So I... Oh, I got you. I got you. I think they're struggling all over the place, Rick. It's been. I worked for the Postal Service for a number of years, and it's there's some. It's interesting what it was getting to when I left. But to answer James, I think it was I do try to use tools that would have been available or specific to a region. As much as I can within reason. I don't have the means to to go out and you know, get all the stuff from a buffalo and use only buffalo, or you know, but I do use either, a lot of times this is, I think this is cow bone, I'm not sure, but this came out of a creek where I was material hunting one day. So you know, I try to use stuff that was at least within reason. You know, this is a deer ulna bone for the tool. So that being said, you won't see me doing a lot of heavy moose antler type work on the points that I do. You know, not because I have anything against that. It's just because I don't think it was as widely used. I mean, if you've ever tried to cut antler with stone tools, I mean, it's an insane undertaking. And to imagine, you know, well, this is a big cutting through something like that to make a tool out of would take you weeks, days for sure, but more likely weeks. And I've got a few of the, you know, larger moose billets, you know, for different applications, but I don't use them very often. I'm typically, this is what I'm, whitetail. This is a big whitetail that I'm in the process of breaking in. But once they've been used where that bulb is off of them, that's typically what I use for antler. Blake, good morning. How are you today? Been working on this piece right here. Started off as like a little creek cobble and just walking through the steps. I've got, man, this thing right here. Whoo! That is, if I'm having a day where I'm just one of those days, is the antler straight or does it have a curve to it for your indirect? Well, I prefer straighter, but this one's got actually a little bit of a curve in the tip of it. But most of the other punches that I use, let me show you if I can find one here, are fairly straight. You can see that one's got just a little bend in it, but it's been drilled out and I've got a little leather shim in there because it's gotten loose on it. But let's see. This one's got a little bit of a bend to it, but I prefer, this one actually had more bend until it started wearing back in there. That's a smaller, like a moose tip or moose tine. That's fairly straight. That I'm break. This is a new one that I'm starting to use. And then I like these, like a little straight base of a, you know, that's just the base of a deer antler drilled out. So I prefer straighter because I feel like it's a better, it's more in line with the way that this shaft punch is supported. But I've seen them work that were a little bit more curved, and it's okay until you get it worked into where and it's hard to describe when it's in line with your shaft like this with the punch and everything. The way that it transfers the energy is way different. It really will throw a energy wave through that rock that it almost feels magical, guys. I mean, once you get the feel of this technique, I mean, that right there, I just tapped that. And it's just these beautiful, you know, clearing type flakes that just, so you know you're getting a tremendous transfer of energy on that. You know, it's not about hitting it hard, it's about hitting it right. And that's another, you know, I've used golf as an analogy a lot, but you can swing hard at the ball and watch somebody that swings that looks almost effortless, and their ball will go 40 yards past yours. And it's proof that it's not how hard you hit it, it's how well you hit it. See, that's just a nice, easy. Beautiful flakes. And just completely changes the, you see how nice and uniform that is? We've got a little bit of stuff right here to take care of, but overall, that's a, oh, I don't even play around with that, little diamond. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Take me to your Lita. But no, I don't even joke about trying to artifake. There's no aging going on in any way, shape, or form. No attempt for fake patina. So, Jacoby, good morning. How are you doing? In fact, in this community, I that'll get, what I do is not, well, puzzle piece time, guys. Hold on a second. But yeah, it's, you got to be careful about how you mark your work, and all right, got it, to make sure that it doesn't end up where somebody's trying to represent it as real. Oh, they're trying to ask if I'm trying to put some type of a fake patina to make it look like it's older than what they actually are. Take me to your Lita. And that is definitely not what I'm about. I want to learn as close as I can the process that it took to make those points. And, as you say, covering them. Oh no, Jimmy, they actually are artifacts. If you'll look up the definition of an artifact, all that is shaped by human hands. This is an artifact right now. It's just not an old artifact. Yeah, there is no secret, little diamond, and like I said, I don't appreciate those kinds of comments. And if you want to continue it, I'll just see you on out of the chat. So appreciate it though. Jojo go crazy, doing good. Working on a piece of Texas material here from a so far unanimous gifter slash follower slash new friend gifted me, and really excited to work some of this Texas stuff. This is some fantastic material. I've got in mind to make a bunch of Folsoms, some Clovis, a lot of paleo stuff. Silencer, good morning. But see, at this point, I'm just building that convexity, even on a thinner. That is correct. Take me to your lead. I don't have any issues with sales whatsoever. I don't have to make them look old. Most of the time, no. Take me to your Lita. I like that one. I think it's funny. I like to work raw stone whenever possible. That's my preference, because heat treating wasn't a technology that was utilized by the paleo people of the North American continent. They used just the raw stone, and they used as high a grade of it as they could find. Jojo, I do. I make arrowheads for, well, I've got some atlatl points over here. These are some that I've made for next season's atlatl season. That's what I'm going to use these for. Oh yeah, that's going to make a serious atlatl dart point right there. And nice and sharp. And those are the style that come from the area where I'm at there. We had the Dalton culture, which was one of, oh no, not, an atlatl dart is basically a big arrow, and the culture of the atlatl throwing in my area, they were throwing smaller darts. They said the average of what they found in the caves in this area, they found some actual atlatl darts that were left over by the Ozark Bluff dwellers in this region, and the arrows were averaging, or the darts were averaging 4 to 6 feet. Well, an arrow, a modern arrow, is 30 inches ish. So, it's about the kinetic force or energy of that dart. It's not about the size of the arrowhead. And if you put too big of a point at the end of that, your trajectory is just going to be junk. Plus, you have to throw a stiffer dart because you've got more weight at the tip of it to get it started. There's just a whole bunch of... Oh yeah, JoJo, that's what I'm trying to say. What everybody calls bird points, those are not bird points, man. I'm telling you, those are big game hunting points. Those are deer smackers, man. I would, if there weren't for modern regulations, that right there would be the biggest size that I would put on an arrow. I would go down not quite half that size, but close. So, I mean, just look at, I tell you what, look at, if you're thinking that's a small, well, here. The Clovis culture was probably the transitional culture that went from hunting the megafauna to, like, I believe that's when the atlatl dart took over. Was during, or right before and during the, man, guys, can somebody get, mute Little Diamond? I'm sick of the dumb comments and the crap, okay? I'm trying to read stuff and talk to people, and I don't need your stuff coming up and causing me to miss comments. So I think I've probably got a moderator in here that can mute him. But if you think that this is what I'm saying is an atlatl dart, that for my region, these are casts of actual artifacts, Folsoms. These are atlatl darts. Those aren't arrow points. So, the trajectory that you're going to get out of a small point like this on a dart, I mean, when you have that much kinetic force and weight and mass behind that point, the power is incredible. That's why, well, they talk about when the Spanish were invading into Mexico, when they were going up against warriors that had atlatls, that they were actually able to throw stone points that were piercing through. Well, like I said, Little Diamond, trying to make some money by being a fake ass and trying to take advantage of people is not where I'm at. So if you're trying to make money and learn how to do that, I'd just as soon you leave. I'm not going to show you how to fake something and make money trying to take advantage of people. That just proves or speaks to your character. So take that for what you will. Thank you, Brizzo. And when it comes up, just mute him again. That really, that's one of the things that will fire me up a little bit, guys, is I don't, the opportunity for, excuse my language, assholes like that to even try to think about taking advantage of somebody to make one of their points look like it's ancient, that upsets me. So I apologize. Well, John, my points are marked in a way that if they were, somebody was to look at them, they could tell. And I do that specifically for that. Yep, it is. Because like I said, within the community of artifact people and flint nappers, especially with these tools, are accused of things that just, I don't need that even spoken into existence around what I'm doing, because that's not what I'm about. Yeah, Brizzo, I need to give you guys be able to boot somebody out or block them. Andre, today I believe this is a piece of pedernales, is what I started off with a little blocky piece of it. Thank you, Paul. And I'll make sure that we can keep that just set up that way. Yeah, this is some good material, Andre. I've got another piece over here that, man, when I'm on my game, I'm going to be making a fulsome out of this, or a nice Clovis. I haven't decided yet, but this material is just freaking amazing. It's tough, but it's also, it works consistently, but I like that it's kind of tough. It takes that strike, and I'm able to make it do some pretty cool stuff. But I'm just trying to build this convexity. Good morning, Terry. Yeah, yeah, Jojo, I appreciate it. I just, I don't know or understand how sad somebody's life has to be to have to go and try to hijack somebody else's day where they're just trying to chill and just be a total ass, And I mean, how sad is your life that's what you've come down to, Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Jacoby. It's like, hey, I'm going to get up today. What am I going to do? Let's see if I can just try to go be an ass to somebody. That'll be a great day. I mean, what a sad existence where that was the high point of what was going on in his morning. Well, like I said, guys, I know it caused me to miss some comments. No kidding, Terry. You got to be careful over there. I saw that you guys were getting ready to get some of that weather. But no, that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, I agree, Silencer, and I apologize, guys. I didn't mean to get, but that's one of the things that, look, I'll respectfully ask you to stop doing what you're doing, and I'll be, I'll treat you with respect. But, I had a guy the other day I had to block for the same thing. I asked nicely. They want to continue being a jerk. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna waste time. And what it was doing is, while you guys were commenting, while they were trying to comment, and I missed a lot of stuff. Jojo, I am in Northwest Arkansas. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Jacoby. I'm not going to disrespect anybody. That's not what I'm about, man. I'm not going to, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, or, I'll ask you, hey, if that's where you're going with this, if you please just stop. And if you don't want to, then, then I'll want to, then, then I'll respond with the same type of energy that you're giving me, and then see you out the door. Joe, yeah, not too far from Bentonville. Are you from Northwest Arkansas area? Well, awesome. Yeah, you know where Garfield is? Garfield area? Well, between like Garfield, Pea Ridge. Out in the country. Past the city limit signs. So, oh yeah, a little bit, Justin. We had some jerk come in and start spouting a bunch of stuff, and then wouldn't respond when I respectfully was asking them. Yeah, it's been pretty nice here, JoJo, and I would assume that you guys, I don't know what the weather. I saw that some of that was kind of, you got some of the warm air coming up there, but that last little cold snap, we were able to miss that, and most of ours was just, we got a little bit of rain on the last one and it dipped down for a couple of days, but it stayed fairly nice. Huh, right on, yeah. Right on, Joe. Yeah, we live out between Pea Ridge and Garfield area. Well, yeah, we were upper 70s to low 80s. Hey, Travis, happy Friday to you too. See, a lot of this work that I'm doing on this, instead of pressure work, because, well, like I said, my hands are a little sore from, I napped quite a bit yesterday. But this is an efficient way to reduce this down and do stuff that I normally would do with pressure flaking, but do it with the punch. And you can see how that edge is getting nice and uniform. We've got nice, convexity from side to side, lens shape, and from base to tip. Now this is our last little spot that was kind of, oh man, Terry, be careful with that. Yeah. Yeah, Doug, I know. Like I said, I do try to treat everybody with respect, and I'm not going to come at somebody like a jerk. I'm going to ask respectfully, hey, let's drop that and move on. And when they keep going, and then they're disrupting the room. That's what happened. Was I had a lot of people commenting, and this person kept throwing up comments that were completely, I'd already said that's not what I want to do. You guys are trying to say to me, somebody that's actually asking a question or has something that's of value to add to the conversation, and I'm missing that because of that upsets me. So, yeah, Travis, it could turn up the East Coast. They're saying it might get bad. But I know that in Terry's area where he's talking about him, and then down into where Bubba's at. That's supposed to be some nasty stuff. It's going to miss us to the east. But no, guys, I won't disrespect somebody, but I'm also not going to sit here and have somebody do that to the chat. So. Huh, well, yeah, Rick, I live not too far from Eureka. That's my neck of the woods there. That was a nice series right there. Just down this edge. But yeah, I like Eureka. That's beautiful, beautiful area there. Neat town to go hang out in for a few days too. It looks like it's some kind of like a little fossil of some kind in there. Crinoid or something. So, just trying to kind of work through that. Trying to work around that little inclusion right there to make sure I don't send a flake directly into it till I got it isolated. There we go. Doug, I'm just working some Texas material here. I'm thinking I'm going to make a Folsom out of this. You know, probably not today. This started off as a pretty chunky little piece of, yeah, that's pretty much the way I go. I know. I like those paleo points, Doug. I really do. Yeah, this is probably Folsom. If it keeps working like this, it might become a Folsom ultra thin knife, but right now the hope is that I can keep this convexity and keep working it in there. So yeah, Andre, I like the Folsoms. I'm actually starting to mess around with some of the Cumberland style also because of the fluting. But yeah, I love making Folsoms. A lot of scaries in that though when you're fluting them. Put a lot of work into one to have it come apart on you right there at the end. You know what I mean? Especially considering that the Folsom people that were making those, depending on what archaeologists and paper that you read, but they estimate between 40 and 60% of failure rate for the people that were making them to live. So, you know, I can expect that that's what so much of this pile, you know, you guys will see, I work on these, man. That's a flute that went up to here. The other side I got almost full, but it was a little thick. So I decided to try another setup, and here's one that I got to go to the tip, but it's off and I haven't reset it yet. You know, you have to work at these. Here's one that the ear broke off of it during the fluting process, or after when I was working on it. There's so many Yep. Well, and I believe that's because, Andre, is because they had to match a certain criteria. I mean, they were carrying everything they owned with them. So if it didn't match the system, then it was useless to carry, and they didn't carry useless things. So I think that was probably the reason that they were, that they accepted that kind of a failure rate on such a major part of their system that they hunted with. Because if you look at it, you've got those little tiny thin fulsome points. You could make up an extra half a dozen or so, or 10 of those, plus all of your atlatl darts, and you would have enough, replaceable points for your tools, so that you could go off on a hunting. And that's where they say at the butcher sites or the kill sites is where they find a bunch of the broken or discarded pieces of fulsome. Because after they hit those animals and they broke the tips, or they, something happened, then they removed those and they put in a new point right there on the spot, repairing their equipment. So, all right. All right, we should be able to get this last little right here. See that area? See, it went right down that. Actually, may have got me a little too thin right there, but I think it's workable. All right, see if I can get got about a half an hour here, and should be able to get the edges kind of lined up a little bit. Deb, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Right on, Andre. Well, I appreciate it. It was just a modification of some other stuff that I've seen. So that, there's as many ways to do this stuff as there are people doing it. Just well, drink that coffee. Don't let it sit and go to waste. Let's see what the... Yes, Silencer, this is Texas material. It was gifted to me by, like I said, at this point, an anonymous person, until they let me know it's okay to thank them publicly for it. But it is fantastic material. It's some of it is going to be just I'm excited about it because there's the Folsoms and the Clovises that I've been wanting to work on. This material is just ideal for it. Yeah, I believe this is a piece of, I think it's Pedernales. I'm not sure what this is. This looks like it might have been through like a brush fire, a fire along a river, but then again, I don't know the material. That may be raw, but I mean, it doesn't have any of the reddening color on the outside, so I'm thinking it's just a really high grade piece. And I'm going to make I think a killer Folsom out of that. I just want to make sure I'm on my game when I mess with that, because that one's going to make a pretty point. But I'm excited about working with some stuff that I know was, you know, these points were made out of this, like, well, the unfluted Folsoms, like a Midland. You know, if I get a piece that's working too thin, I may end up making a few Midland points also. Oh yeah, this is just fabulous, the way it's working. Okay, now once we get this edge kind of squared up, then we're going to start working on this other side. But you see how that whole platform is now set up to this side where this little bit of mass is. And we're just going to roll this in just to... somebody else said something about those, excuse me, just a little bit ago, silencer. And is it a small, like an arrow point? Because I'm going to have all kinds of flakes. I'm looking at doing some of the small arrow points from that region out of the small flakes. I'm going to try to utilize everything I can. Obviously today I only had a couple of flakes that were going to be large enough for points. I'll pick through and make sure, but that one will definitely make a little arrow point. So I will look at it, because you're the second person to ask about that, and I'll see. I'm sure that they probably come from that region, so I'll check it out. And let's get this side cleaned up here. Let's see. Chris, recommend to someone trying to get into making arrowheads. Watch as many YouTube videos as you can, Chris. Search around and try to find somebody in your area that's a napper to watch. That would help you also, but there are lots of videos. You can look into working with glass material as a free material to learn to get started, and it depends on what tools you want to use. If you're looking to use copper tools, there's all kinds of resources where you can buy those. If you'll look up flint knapping, hey Daniel, how you doing? If you look up flint knapping or flint knapping tools on, Google it, you should see all kinds of places that'll. Oh, thank you, Blake. I appreciate that. Absolutely, Andre. Yeah, and there's all kinds of there is all kinds of material out there. And Blake, thank you for the plug for the YouTube channel there. But I've got, all of these lives. If you guys enjoy this, go check out YouTube. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Yes, sir. It's Friday. Friday. But yeah, we're trying to get all this stuff loaded up. All of these from around the 1st of February up till current. And some of them are taking painfully long to get up there. So, but we'll get them. So if you like to watch this or you feel like you're learning something, box mechanic, it's not really any harder to box mechanic, it's not really any harder to work than any other kind of obsidian. But what those snowflakes are, they're actually like ash or ash pocket areas within that, and they can sometimes disrupt your flakes depending on how snowflake-ish it is. Will make a determination as to what kind of point you can get out of it. But I have worked some of it, and it'll work fine. But then sometimes you'll get some that's just got too much of that ash in it, and it will disrupt the flake patterns and all that stuff, and it can make it kind of frustrating. But it'll still make a point, and it'll still make a usable point. I mean, it's just harder to get it like a real clean flake pattern if that's what you're looking for. Oh, John, thank you. I appreciate the gift. And guys, if you do like this and you want to support and all that, I'm going to be giving this away to one of my subscribers at the end of this month. So anybody that's an active subscriber at the end of March, before April, will be in the drawing for that. And you don't have to be eligible to win. I will draw from all of my subscribers. So if you want to be involved in a chance at that, just hit that subscribe button. And like I said, you don't have to be present to win that. If I draw your name, I will send you a message and let you know that you won. And then try to get your mailing, information. Right on, Souncer. Yeah, it turned out pretty cool. I liked it. I was working a piece of, that's Buffalo River chert out of Tennessee. And I don't know, it was kind of a thin, narrow piece, and I was thinking about making a drill out of it. And I just started working, and all of a sudden I decided I'm going to make a snake out of that. Well, John, like I said, the cool, oh, awesome, Silencer. I've made a few little stuff like that. John, be careful and don't mess up in the excavator. But that's one of the benefits, guys, of getting this stuff uploaded to YouTube, is that if you're unable to see a whole live, or if I was doing something that you want to rewatch or whatever, eventually it's going to be up on YouTube in a format where you can watch it, anytime you want to. So I'm kind of excited about being able to get all that up there for everybody. So, oh, I'm telling you, I've watched them. You can do that stuff in their sleep, Andre. awesome, John. Well, I appreciate it. You know, I try not to be too wordy on some stuff, you know, but I do. I get into this. I love the aspect of it as far as, you know, the cultural side of it I love, but then I also love the scientific side of it, you know, and how what we're doing is it's so repeatable. It's the same thing. You know, I'm using the same angles. It's just a different tool or different tool point. I was trying to find something a little sharper that I had in here. Maybe. Yeah, that'll work. Now, as the point gets smaller, or like, you know, less massive, then I will a lot of times switch to a little bit smaller pressure flaker, because the mass of this is less, so it gives me a little bit of a different flake. It's hard to explain, but you can feel the difference. Because I'm not gripping this thing with a death grip on it. Absolutely, silencer, man, you have a good day, and be careful. There is going to be some storms coming in that way later, so you guys please be aware of all that. Kind of know where you're at and what's going on. But I'm not holding this thing like I don't have a death grip on it, but what I'm doing is it's actually, you see how it's just kind of hanging up again. It's held there by the force of pushing that in like that. This thumb, but when I'm doing this, that's just to help kind of stabilize it. And when it goes off, it's almost like I'm just containing it. So it's not like you're not grabbing this thing and white knuckling it and trying to pop flakes off there, because you get completely different. This way, it actually allows that flake to travel farther because of the follow through and the way it almost, you know, shoots through there. See, now that series right there got one little spot there where it kind of, oh, it's not as bad as I thought. That's just one of those little spots in the rock that's that color. But I just pulled those flakes so that I could, you know, continue this convexity as I bring this in. We're going to make a fulsome out of this if I can get this little low spot to cooperate right here. I have to get convexity into that spot, and that's why I went so aggressive on these. I wanted to get this edge low enough where I could really round this in and make it, you know, a lot more conducive to a flute flake traveling on it. So, all right. I'm going to do this side on this one, and then set up the other side and come back and fix that convexity. This is almost the same type of series of flakes right here. All right, now you can see that series. I'm trying to get to where you can see where the flakes came off. Now, this rock doesn't show it up very well, but all of those that came off this side, and now I'm set up towards this side for both, this side, and then I'll come back from this edge over the top this way. So I'm going to go in and just pull those deltas. I'm just pulling one little flake right in the middle of it. kind of angled, and just to get those to kind of terminate right into that edge of that ridge. I'm not pushing in, I'm pulling almost straight down with them. Damien, you have a good one too, man. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll do the same thing on this side now. Trying to get up here where you can see those little serrations along that edge, and I'm just, well, there they are. And I'm just pulling those flakes off of those little deltas. See, and when they come off clean, you get this edge that's, you know, it's got a nice convexity and everything is rolling to a direction, so that the next series of flakes just get better and better, and you're able to fix that, to really set the convexity the way that you want it. And like I said, the reason that these are such a specific series, an ordered series of way that you do this, is because they were making a tool that had to fit into their weapon system, because they were going to carry everything with them. So, you know, if it didn't work the way that they needed it to, then it was worthless to them. So the preparation and the way that these were produced was so systematic, so that it fit in their system. And I'll show you on a cast once we get closer to finished. But right before we start to think about fluting it, I'll show you like in a cross section with how this will look compared to an actual cast of an artifact. All right, there was that series of flakes that we just took off that edge, and you can see there's just a few little deltas. Oh, awesome, Dustin. Yeah, it's about the time of the year that you can start looking for them. I know Brizzo, if Brizzo's still in here, he was training his dog to find them for him. I've seen a lot of folks do that with retrievers and stuff. Black labs and all that. See, and we're trying to build even convexity over both sides. Now you can see this side here there's a couple of little spots. It's a little heavier right here than it needs to be, but prior to fluting, we're going to keep that. But we're just trying to continue to keep this lens shape going. I've got a spot right here that's a low spot that we're trying to build convexity in. I think I've got a couple of flakes here. I need to go ahead and try to do that while it's turned that way. Yeah, that's helping a little bit. So we just did basically another round down that same platform because it was still kind of turned that way. But what it did is it took those, see how those flakes are starting to round into this flat spot back here. And that's what we're going for, is we want just a nice curved lens shape over the whole thing. So this series is going to be both from this on this face, and I'll go base to tip, and then we'll set up and try to continue to build our convexity and get this side ready. We're not obviously going to flute it today. Probably, I don't know if I don't work on it over the weekend, but I'll try to film it if I do. If I do try to flute it this weekend, so. And you can see how aggressively those were taken out just downward like that. And that's continuing to keep that convexity on this side. And we're building back to this way so that we can cut and get into that low spot there. So again, now on those deltas, one flake down. All right, I'm gonna run this little series of flakes and then we'll probably end up calling it a day today for this. But I wanted to show you, now that we've built that platform and we've got this convexity that goes into this low spot, because I'm trying to round that over so that we can run a flute from the base to the tip on this. We got to get rid of that low spot to make that happen. So this series of flakes should kind of blend that out and make it a lot more convex. All right, that was, you can see, yeah, you too, Bryce. I'm getting ready to get off here, but you can see how I rolled those. There's our little flat spot that we're trying to get those to roll into. And that, they're running into about right there on that pass. Roll into, and that, they're running into about right there on that pass. We're getting pretty close to being, I've got a little bit of width to give here. Like I said, considering that tried to find something that, you know, size-wise, that's a fairly wide. That Folsom was found just north of where I live, but so, you know, we're still within the. There's another medium-y size shaped one. We've got enough material to give that we can still end up with that profile. So if I can keep my hands off of it over the weekend, I'll leave it alone and we'll work it again on Monday. But if not, I'll show you pictures of it when it was done. So, no, Rick, I haven't even been out. I'm thinking, though, I'm going to try it this weekend. We've had some pretty nice warm weather in a couple of my early spots. I have a feeling that there's going to be some. Now, not very many areas down here where I live compared to, I used to live in Southwest Missouri, just about an hour and a half north of where I live now. And I'm not kidding you, as a kid, I can remember going out and filling a couple of paper grocery bags full of them. That was off our property. We didn't have to go anywhere to find them. You know, they were right there. And now I've got access. It's my mom's place, but we're the caretaker of it. There's 70 acres, and I've got a lot of spring and creek bottoms down here that we find mushrooms in, but we just don't find them in the numbers down here like what I used to as a kid. So, but I've got a few places. They'll be up any time now. So how about yourself? Have you found any? I know I saw some reports on the morel things that they're being found in southern Missouri, southern to middle. So I know some of the early ones are coming up. So, oh, you don't hunt them? Yeah, I'm ready to go. I've got my mushroom stick and my ready to go get them. So, well, guys, I tell you what, I appreciate you coming in and spending some time with me today. I apologize about earlier getting upset. I just, you know. Those of you that are in here, I don't, you too, Box Mechanic, you know, I'm not going to disrespect anybody, but I'll come at you with the same energy that you come at me with. I'm going to give you the opportunity, you know, and then I don't, oh, thank you, Cody. I appreciate it. This is I looked and found this is, I guess it's probably like a little creamer that came with the set, but I use it like a little carafe, like extra coffee. It holds just about another cup. So, but no, guys, I'm not here to be a jerk or disrespect somebody. I just ask a few things that, you know, I've got other people in here. Well, Bob, I appreciate it. You know, like I said, I just don't want to offend anybody. I'm not, there's just no sense in that. So, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. I might get on here live sometime this weekend. I don't know. It just depends. But I for sure will be back Monday morning at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to be working this weekend trying to get some more stuff uploaded to the YouTube channel. So I'll tell you what, guys. Take care of yourselves, those around you. Keep chipping.